It's basically just minutes.
Okay.
You need a set?
No, I'll just go here. As long as this thing works.
You want me to make a copy of that thing to add to your procedures, and I'm going to
Yep.
send you the link, and you can slip that in there. I saw you 2 weeks ago on it.
Yep.
And, gives an idea. Funny, I ran some numbers by acre foot, acre inch,
Okay.
and all that. And
It'd be
Okay, we have 9:30.
Okay, I'd like to call this meeting to order. Chair's decision, we'll skip the pledge right now. I know a couple of us have other commitments, need to keep moving along. Roll call, please, Lori.
Mr. Behrens,
Yes.
Mr. Christensen,
present.
Mr. Popa,
yes,
Mr. Walter.
Here.
I have a quorum.
Public comment, I see no one waiting, so we will move along. Agenda. I think this, I'm going to provide an update on both Beaver situation and our 2% project.
So 5 and 6.
Yeah, although I'd like to make those number 2 and 3, so we can get those out of the way quickly.
I make a motion, we approve the agenda as revised.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we have an agenda. So, updates on the Beaver situation.
We got to approve the minutes.
Oh, that's right.
Move to approve the minutes as presented.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Trapper Ron has been going out to the park. He said a minimum of 3 days a week since, let's see, that would have been, 3 weeks ago, now a month ago, that we approved hiring him immediately to get in there. But that followed 4 or 5 days of Al Zielinski getting in and keeping the dams torn down, because we had flooding of yay much right at the end of the uncovered bridge, the Midway Bridge. Ron said to me when I talked to him and said, yes, we've agreed, so we've approved the money to pay you to get in there and start trapping. He hasn't seen a beaver, he hasn't seen any activity since. We're thinking, and he said to me, I hope Al didn't drive them out of there by working so diligently at keeping the dams down. Well, apparently it appears that he did, because Ron's been in there. He said he's not going to bill us until he sets traps, but he's not setting traps till he knows that the beaver are there. But at this point, he's not finding any beaver activity. And he's simply going to keep checking continuously from now until snow, I suppose, to see if we get another one back. And if you recall, we are in a position where should a beaver be gone now and then come back in the spring, we can hire him immediately to get in there, because we're no longer restricted by season or the time it takes to get an actual permit. Because we've declared it a nuisance, he's free to get in there at any time. So the beaver have gone away for now. Undoubtedly, they will be back. You haven't seen any recent activity, have you?
No, I've been driving back there just looking for stuff. There's been a trail going to the river, but it's probably rotten.
It probably is, from what he said. He's hiked, he told me that he's hiked the full length of it from culvert to culvert, the big arc through the park. Said he hasn't found any sign of one still hanging around. So apparently Al's work did the job for us, at least short term.
Yeah.
Update on the 2% project. I did talk to Bill Watson finally yesterday. Bill intends to get his crew in there this coming week or the next week for some initial, particularly I think automotive work. I don't know if he paints the cut trunks at this time of the year, is that likely to still be effective, do you know, Steve?
I think so. A tree is sending nutrient to the root. This is a good time, I'd say. The fifth grade conservation, fifth grade field day will be on Tuesday, so we shouldn't be doing anything on Tuesday, I think.
His indication to me was it would not be that soon.
Okay.
It would be late this coming week, and he thought maybe even the beginning of the next week before they got in
this
there.
is
Yeah, this coming Tuesday would be the field day.
Right.
This is something you paint on the bark?
Now, when you cut, you paint, make sure you get it right around the cambrium layer so that from the cut, it takes the 2,4-D or whatever it is
Dave,
down to the roots.
last time they did it, they used glyphosate Roundup, and it didn't work. Roundup won't kill it. And I tried to tell them that, and they just like, well, this is what we got at Home Depot. And you can't use that at all. You won't do anything, so.
It's got to be on the leaves. Roundup has
It
to.
won't, you can hose the whole plant out with Roundup, it won't kill it automatically.
Oh, I don't want to kill mine.
Not easily, but
You gotta use like Pathfinder, or I can't think of the chemical name, but you can't use glyphosate.
You got to use a brush killer, has something different than.
I've got a,
McGoss has a product that they need to use. It seems like they'd be using a product that would work. That seems kind of silly just to,
yeah,
Yeah, because that's why we're in the shape we're in now, because it all came back after they cut it. It's just,
I thought part of it was they didn't adequately paint enough. I mean, enough cut stumps. I'll talk with him.
Well, then they
Bring this
should, if the leaves are going away and we got to spray stuff on the leaves, we shouldn't be doing it now.
it's a
What's that?
basil bark, it draws it in from the bark.
Oh,
I've got a pint of straight 2,4-D.
yeah, I haven't actually done it. I was counting on mixing Roundup and 2,4-D together, but that may not work either. That's just a farmer technique.
Okay, I'll talk with him about that, Scott. Further part of that is the goats will not be used this fall. Bill assured me that the grant regulations allow him to delay that expense until the next calendar year. So the plan is to bring the goats back in the spring. And we will meet. I made sure I cleared that with him as well. We don't want any goats there till Tom Adams and I, or whoever of us, walk the property and say, yes, this 10 acres or not, what to be careful to stay away from. But at least that's moving along. Which brings us to, well, let me jump to number 4 here, the update on obtaining permit to chemically treat ponds. That, if you recall, we've really just put on hold until January. And I'll begin communicating immediately then with Savin and go through the discussion of what we need, what we can't do again, and get something to bring back here in terms of what their proposal or plan will be. But that's really the beginning of next year. We'll make sure that's all in place very early in the year, so we're on the top if we go this way with Savin. And I'm talking as if we will go with Savin. It just seemed to be the general discussion that we had now 2 months ago, when I came to recognize the complications of us managing those things ourselves and getting the permitting done ourselves. It became a 2-step, in my opinion, lengthy and complicated permitting procedure. So,
Will they do, spot treatment?
well,
also?
this is the initial part of the discussion with them, is identifying what went wrong last time, how, what we want, and can they really do that? And then it's going to be a matter of myself or someone representing us being there on site at that point and being able to say, wait a minute, no, don't broadcast it that broadly. Whatever, I didn't know enough last time I was there and watched them. And despite Heather's conversation with them, which she was really disappointed, even though she still thinks they're one of the better companies to deal with, she felt she had been very clear about spot treatment, and then that's not really what happened. So that's part of what's got to get talked about very early on. So now we're on to parking lot. This is the guts of what we need to talk about. Yesterday,
Get one of those.
John and I met to determine ground zero, the base elevation for you two to work with to determine how high, or at what level to set the top of the pad. Now, John had done it.
The deadline sheet, I wanted you to review.
Oh, okay.
What?
John and I,
Is there,
She's got,
we'll get some copies, maybe?
I've got other copies of this too.
I'll trade.
So John, am I correct that you dug a little more into the actual dimensions of the two porta potties, and that caused you to redraw the size of the pad? We got out there yesterday and we had the 12-foot wide. John's drawing that's in the packet only needs 14 feet length to put in the UA porta potty and one regular porta potty. We got out there and the 4 posts that we are still there, that we all were present when we pounded them in the ground, but it's 12 by 23. Do any of the rest of you remember why we made it so long at that point? I remember some discussion about the length, but the posts we set the piece is now 12 by 23 instead of 12 by 14. And I don't recall how we came to that decision to make it that long.
It seems like if it's that much larger, we could put a second regular porta potty and then the one with the special assist.
Well, that's what I wondered. I remember we said something about, no, one porta potty, one regular, and the one UA was enough. But did we also then decide, well, we might want 2, and at the increased cost of that extra 7 feet, 8 feet of by 12 of concrete wasn't that much cost, that we decided to just go ahead with the bigger one? Do you have any memory of it?
I think we're planning on putting the dumpsters there too. We need 2 dumpsters right alongside of them. And for that guy to get that machine in there, he'd be hitting the outhouses. So we decided to extend it and square it up. And we all agreed to it. Whatever it was,
Yeah.
that 20 feet, there was a reason for it. And the only question we got now is an elevation, but it shouldn't take us half a year to do this.
Well,
Jerry's ready to pour.
I didn't send you the pictures. Where the Y-shaped cement walkway,
That was part of it.
when it comes right down to the end of the staked out pad location, that corner is the elevation, corner of the walkway. So you can set the elevation of the pad even with the end of the walkway.
Accessibility, handicap accessibility, you want it all.
Right, and I think that was it too, so a car could pull up and people could get out on a wheelchair without bumping right into the outhouse.
For grading, is that what you mean?
We just wanted enough room there.
We pounded a stake in at 14 feet, just so it's there.
Yeah,
But-
yeah, looks good.
I think we should go with, so
My
that
concern,
it's 14,
I just picked this point.
that's 12 feet difference, 9 feet. Is a 9 by 12 extra chunk of concrete that expensive?
2 feet.
Well, if you do 12 by 24, $2,000.
Pardon?
That'll be enough.
That'd be the quarter foot slope? Okay, let's concern about
To
that.
go that route.
That'd be good.
I think we should.
Feet down here.
Further
It'll get there.
Yeah.
100,000 for smaller fish, so exact number. Change from the first,
And then it's slope.
first talked about it, checked on it for 12 by 24, and it was like $806. Now it's up to $1,000
I should have said.
for that same size. But, you know,
A lot of the cost is delivery too. And the truck.
Would you pay any, right?
we go with 5 yards for that size that you gave me, because you then you run into a small overfeed, which varies, but
Well, so I'm of a mind, and I just want agreement here that we go with
Let's do it.
the big one, 12 by 20, 23.
And it's marked there and everything.
It's all marked out.
And again, I think I remember, if you're gonna have a wheelchair come up, are you gonna unload them right in front of the outhouse? Or are you gonna have a place that people can get there and then wheel to the outhouse or whatever? We just needed the space, and the space is there.
Yeah. So we'll go with the 4 posts as posted. Yep.
Is it too late to do it this year, Jerry?
we can, no.
Because there's money in the Parks and Rec budget this year.
And chloride, they decide they're, depending on what's going on, Scott and I can talk about it, but, you know,
Can't you pour down to about 28 degrees even?
well, anything below 32, you want to go with chloride.
Yeah, oh yeah.
But it's going to create its own heat. But the surface, of course, is the question, which, you know, start spawning whatnot over here, doesn't go to, well, you just make sure it's,
Well, we know the money's there. We now know the size. We now know the elevation. So you two are free to go.
there's going to be some extra cost with form lumber, but you're going to do 2 by 6. You're going to go 5-inch thick, that way. We'll have, it's going to be fiber, crushed on 6 seconds. Be stronger than 500 plus.
Steve, do you remember, I wasn't here when this actual figure came up last year, how much money we have in the budget to do this one project for this year?
We got a lot.
Well, we've got a ton of money.
Yeah.
This is gonna be one of those years where we didn't spend what we thought we were gonna spend, so there's plenty of money there.
So you're good to go.
Let's do it.
Well, I hate to play devil's advocate here, but did this get approved by the full commission? What month?
Doing it or the dollar expenditure? for
Well,
both?
approving the project, like at cost now, Steve, was it,
Well, that.
This was only about a $600
I
project.
realize that, but you were recommending by the Parks Commission.
Yeah, well, I think it was in the June meeting of the Parks Commission that we approved doing this. Well,
It's all been approved to do.
Yeah,
That's why we went out.
I wasn't here for
What
the-
meeting it was, I don't know.
I wasn't here for those budget talks. You know, when I came back in June, that's when I learned that, oh no, we've approved this much money for the porta potty pads.
If we go size, you know, you're looking at, like I told you, more like $1,000 cement alone because of the increase over the past few months. So
Right.
that's off that, 1,500.
Well, it's well under 40,000.
Oh,
specifically.
Does that reflect anything in the July? There's a discussion about it, the pad in the July minutes, but it doesn't say anything about approval, so maybe in the June.
Yeah.
The full commission next meets on November 1st, so that's a few weeks away.
How soon are you gonna get at this?
What's that?
How soon might you get at the project?
Just got excavating, but what's that?
Not Monday, I should do it.
Right.
Soon as Tuesday.
So the forms would be ready to go within a week. Or 2. See, it's 2 weeks to the next meeting. So when you get the forms ready, you could be ready to pull the trigger on the delivery. That would put it immediately after the next meeting.
Because this doesn't have to go to the Board of Commissioners. This is well within your range to approve this project.
So you're wondering whether we brought this up to Parks and Rec?
With an official,
You're a recommending body to the commission.
No, that's what we're discussing? Because he mentioned commission, and so we
Parks
want to
and Rec
make sure the Parks and Rec approves this?
Yes.
Commission, yeah.
And we don't think they did?
I don't believe so. I know there's been a lot of discussion about
yeah,
it.
yeah.
It's been in our purview that we're going to do this. But the physical act of saying,
Recommendation.
pull the trigger. But if the form is ready, and we're that far along,
Well,
I don't see a problem with doing the forming.
yeah, okay, I'd like to be able to have them free to start and we get this official approval and recommendation on November 1st. Geez. November 1st. I have lens replacement in this eye scheduled that day. Now, that's a 10-minute outpatient procedure, so as long as I'm scheduled in the morning, I'll make that November meeting. Otherwise, one of you will have to handle. We recommend to the Parks and Rec Commission that we do this, get their official vote.
And as long as, you have a discussion with Casey, that this is coming, we'll have it on the agenda. Just make sure we have some recommendation right now.
I move, we recommend to the Parks and Rec Commission to move forward with the pad project at Veronica Valley.
At a cost not to exceed, and what?
Not to exceed $3,000.
Second? Any discussion?
Who was the second?
Me. I'm second, Lori.
I thought you were asking for a second.
I'm moving us along. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Hey, Steve, would you speak in reference to the grading? Would you speak in reference to the grading?
This would be the next topic. We're done with the porta potty pad, right?
Yes.
So parking lot, is that where we're on now? Or,
Yeah, and that's really, we're not heading toward a decision. It's that we've been making this effort to have a more or less master plan for the parking lot. So that even if a different committee here, different commission members are the ones who deal with the final someday paving the parking lot, et cetera, they understand how we've done some other placements and other things and what kind of planning has been done, at least discussion of drainage. So John has worked up some, I know the two of you in a discussion at the last, that would have been the September full commission meeting. After the meeting, the two of you, right here at the end, and I overheard, came up with a plan for where the water should drain off the parking lot, how it should. There's particular issue with John's drawing, and that is the slope of the parking lot from one corner to another for that drainage. What are your thoughts, Steve?
Well, there's plenty of area for the retention that's needed. We'd have to crunch the numbers as far as total area of impervious. There's that extensive area to the right going in, plenty of room for a basin there. If we need, if the sloping of this parking area means that we need to go to the other direction for some of it, there is, again, plenty of area to work with. So shallow basin areas would be all that we would need. You know, it's, we have plenty of room to do the basins we need. We've already got a parking area there that's compacted. And so technically we're actually reducing a compacted area. We are going to asphalt, which is more, doesn't allow any infiltration compared to a gravel parking area, but technically we're reducing the parking lot area. So, given all of that, I wouldn't have any problem working with a plan that has a basin area.
I've asked Laurel to make sure that John's third page of today's handout becomes part of the official record, so that at least as we move forward, if that's not the very final master plan, it's close, so that again, if our group changes here, the whole commission changes, they at least know what all of our thinking has been as we've gone along. Essentially, Steve, what I hear you saying is, when we get to it, someday in the future, we have enough area to handle
Oh, definitely.
our runoff issues, regardless of how we design it.
Yeah, and the emergency overflows weeps out to the wetland area, so not only is there enough area to do the volume we need, but there's an outfall. Wetland drizzles to the stream. It's a perfect scenario from a parking lot standpoint as far as water quality goes. You have a basic settling area, takes the first flush. It's a grassy area. It tends to retain the oils from the first flush. The larger events weep off into the wetland weeps into the stream. It's a perfect scenario for placement of parking lot and high quality stormwater runoff.
Then let me move us on to just discussion here. Is there something, okay, we get the porta potty pad done, we've improved, obviously add to the porta potties, change that arrangement to a UA and whatever number of regulars. Is there something we should look towards achieving in this whole parking lot plan next year? Perhaps the paved, I'm just brainstorming, perhaps the paved
I
park.
got a comment on
Oh.
this.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
You got the basin on the last page drawn in the overflow parking area.
That's no problem. We can make the berming along the far and bottom side. We could even do shrubs.
So it'll be flat,
Shrubs on the berm, so that, and then that part of overflow parking, worst case scenario, we reinforce it with some type of paver type situation for overflow that grass grows through. That would be maybe overkill. Just a grass area, yeah. Yeah, there's, yeah. Yeah, we just berm along that wetland side and let the emergency overflow be more toward County Road, and then it weeps onto the wetland. So I
Well-
I don't see that as a problem.
If necessary,
We can do that.
can we not use the same overflow parking that the kids' fishing day utilizes along the fence, 641?
Yeah, they would as well as that too.
Yeah.
They need every kind of parking you can get
Okay.
in those situations. Once a year.
Kids Fish Day,
Yeah,
basically.
Yeah, I don't
basically.
know about the cross-country event, how much they need.
You know, last year I was at the cross-country event last year, and the parking lot was full, but two buses I think they went around and parked at the back lot off Maple Valley, and then came back to pick up the kids, but they didn't seem to be wanting for more parking space than they found right there. And Kids Fishing Day uses such an extensive strip there along the front fence that if we came into an event if the cross-country event balloons to that many spectators, we certainly could open that, I would think, and use that again. But back to my question then about looking ahead from this towards another one step. Might next year we think about the paved walkway from the front of the porta potties along the whole end of the parking lot to the crush pad walkway down to the fishing walkway.
Be a logical step. Definitely.
I certainly will think about that in terms of getting that into the capital improvement statement and then budget planning.
And we haven't been called to discuss the amount of money that we recommended for 024. And I know that's coming, so we've asked for a lot of money on the Parks and Rec side, so we'll see how that discussion goes with the county board.
It would also seem like if we choose next spring to get ourselves moving to get in a paved walkway from the new porta potty to the fishing walkway, then we could almost label that under maintenance. I mean, we have walkway across there, so to speak. People use it that way. We watched kids literally walking that exact walkway path yesterday. The local school had their running teams out there when John arrived yesterday. I got there at 4 o'clock, and I think there were more cars I've ever seen in the parking lot than anything but fishing day. And it turned out to be I think it was Lake Leelanau's. 2 cross-country teams were out running, and it was full of cars. But they all walked exactly that direction, where we will want the identified walkway. So I think we could head towards that some next year.
Definitely.
What else do we need to talk about, gentlemen? I never prepared an agenda officially for Laurel. She just put this together because I sent her a few thoughts and that was it. But John?
I want to talk about ladders going into the pond. Scott and I, this summer, as we were tuning things up there, Scott and I, as we were tuning things up around that walking edge and stuff, we talked about a ladder there. Now, I dove around that whole edge and I stood up around it, and it's about 4 feet deep till you get to hard ground. And if someone had to get out of there, you'd have to like hold that person's hand and go all the way around to where you can go through the weeds and stuff. And correct me if I'm wrong, we thought about putting one of those, like a dock ladder, a nice aluminum one, permanent. And we talked about one location, to the south, that's kind of sandy there and a person can walk out. Were we just thinking about putting one ladder in there? You can buy these ladders, we could buy it this year with our budget. You can go online and buy them. Wheelox makes one that you can put on the end of your dock and it's out of steel and it's got hand things. I got one on the end of my dock. I just think we should buy one. And if we like it, buy two or something. And we could fasten it so it goes right off that edge. And so do we need to go to or quickly look and see how much they cost? But I imagine
Good idea.
they're gonna be close to $500 or more. But, and take it in front of the Parks and Rec and purchase it this year. I suppose in a matter of 10 minutes, you can Google it and see what kind you want. We only need something 4 or 5 feet long. I know my buddy's got a nice aluminum at the end of the dock, but that's a fancy one. We only need something for an emergency. This isn't to go swimming and sit on and bathe and stuff. I would just go look at a little simple ladder. We can fasten it there and bolt it to it and purchase it this year. And I should have brought it up before, but Scott and I, we looked at it this summer, said, yeah, let's go get one.
Couple $100 each.
So should we say, let's go to the board here in November and ask for a purchase not to exceed, I don't know, $1,000 in case you want two. But if they're a couple $100, then we'll leave it at that. They're nice and powder painted, I think, and coated. I mean,
These are aluminum, the most expensive one's $500. You're all around $120.
you think we should just put one there in the middle, Scott? All right, that's kind of what you and I looked at, because the ends, you can just about get out. But if a little kid there and their dad is there and they can't get that kid up or get it over the edge without scratching its belly, you can just get to a ladder.
This was one of 2 items identified by the insurance risk assessor that we walked around with.
You know, you're right.
Was
I forgot about
two
that.
two things that he was more or less insistent upon was a ladder, and he didn't talk about any more than one. And then the open space between the horizontal railings on both bridges
Oh,
is greater than 4 inches. That's a maintenance issue in terms of stripping in between each of those rails.
well, I can make a motion that
Yes.
we go to the Parks and Rec Commission to purchase a safety ladder not to exceed $500. And I guess in that motion say per recommendation of our insurance company.
Support.
In so many words.
Laurie, are you clear on that? Okay. I think, as far as discussion goes, I think 1 is enough.
He asked for one, let's do one, and if we need more.
Is there a difficulty in anchoring it, providing the top surface?
Scott will figure it out. We've got 4x6s there and stuff. The one he'll look at online, and we don't need a whole meeting to discuss it.
No.
Some of them stick right down, like the one I got, you can put it in like 4 or 5 feet of bottom land, you know, and it stays there and it's supported, and then I just fasten it to the dock.
Okay, you need a
So we-
second. You need a second on that motion.
He seconded
Oh,
it.
I'm sorry, okay.
And we don't have to go very far with this. Any more discussion?
We have to vote on it?
Yes, we have to vote on the motion to purchase not to exceeding
Recommendation, yeah.
$500 this year. And that's a recommendation to the full commission, which will be done November 1st.
Parks and Rec Commission.
Parks and Rec Commission, that's correct. So all in favor?
Aye.
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 And Scott, I'm correct that in terms of filling in these silly 4-inch spaces is something that's just maintenance and therefore we don't have to deal with recommendations and it'll happen when it happens? Okay.
It's gotta be something to take out on the wall.
No, I'm talking about on the bridges.
All the bridges.
The filling in those, that seems to me to be just straight maintenance and when it fits your schedule, as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, okay.
Hey, Dave, on that spacing, I'll take a look at it to see if it's all of it takes is run cabling.
That's what I'm thinking, a cable instead of boards.
Yeah, just drill it and run the cabling tool. I'll take a look at it.
Okay.
Easier than boards.
Those were the only two items. He did talk about a shepherd's crook, but he seemed to back off of that when Scott pointed out, yeah, it'll either get stolen or thrown in the pond. It just won't last. And he seemed then to be comfortable with the life rings we have. Because he backed off of that talk about the shepherd's crooks. And Scott's related, at least to me, the experience of having them there and they just don't last.
They're gone.
They're gone.
The same thing with those barbecue grill bins he wants, for hot coals. Nobody's gonna use them for one, and those shovels are gonna disappear in the first week.
I didn't even remember this part of his talk. He wanted someplace to put coals?
Hot coals, yeah, because people are gonna clean out the grills before they leave.
No, they're not. Okay.
Never crossed my mind.
Yeah, I'm pretty responsible with what I do, and I've never cleaned out a barbecue grill.
Anything else on anybody's mind?
I'm all set.
Because I think we've done the business we had to do, so I will entertain a motion to adjourn. Oh, public comment, commissioner comment.
I'm good.
I'm good.
Anything to say here? I'm surprised.
We welcome any comment, Jerry.
Move to adjourn.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, gentlemen. Oh, you did have, you been up to Drummond this fall?
I'm going in 72 hours, but yeah,
Oh, who's counting, right, John?
Yeah. Cigar and beer in hand?
cigars, beer, and this time a little bit of whiskey, I think.
I envy you.
God, it's gorgeous at this time of year. I just can't wait to sit out there and gaze.
I had about, it was 8 years. 4 of us had a deer camp in Jim's dad's old deer camp building, just a 16 by 16 square house.
This
Just had so
great
much fun.
cow.